FM radio every Monday night from 8 p.m. in the Spotlight, featuring people from all walks of Dominican life, spotlighting their triumphs and tragedies, dreams, hopes, aspirations, untold stories.
Kimon is gonna call in.
Yeah. Politics, religion, sports, music, culture,
No, I don't. Huh? Yes, FRMPTON. In the Spotlight radio show with Fedina Frampton. You know, they just would host Fedina Frampton. Like people supposed to know what to do.
I give it that name just for Facebook.
Spotlight interesting topics, issues, and relevant situations. Don't miss In the Spotlight on Q95 FM radio every Monday night from 8 p.m. In the Spotlight.
.41 is the time in the studios of Q95. We're going live in just a couple of minutes. Stay tuned. Is the time in the studios of Q95. Those of you at Facebook may hear a little bit of the action going on in the background because we have to go live to be able to share so that, you know, the folks who choose to view via this medium can actually get to join us while we're in the studios there showing, making sure that everything is perfecto to get our program going. Good evening, wherever you are locked into the In the Spotlight radio show tonight. We are very, very happy to have you and happy to be here with you for another program into the month of October, the second Monday in the month of October. And we are indeed excited to be here as always. If you are tuned in via the airwaves of Q95, a special good evening to you. And we thank you for joining us on a Monday night for this program. Let us acknowledge a few other folks who assist us in making this program what it is. And we say thank you to Q95, of course. We say thank you to Josephine Gabriel and the Company Limited. Remember, when you're drinking water this independent season, ensure that it's a bottle of Tuapito Pure Dominica water. Good evening to you, Jenny, hi Jared, and the rest of the team at Josephine Gabriel and Company Limited. I have to big up in a very special way the folks at Callaloo House and the Great Old House. So those of you in Dominica, you already know about all of those amazing dishes produced and prepared by Callaloo House by day and the Great Old House by night or by evening into night. And those of you who will be visiting for the independent season, we encourage you as well to check out Callaloo House. Dominica News Online always promotes us. Jordan Jerome, good evening to you. All the friends, fans and supporters of the In the Spotlight radio show, we are indeed happy to be here. Today was actually observed as Flag Day in Dominica, and you know, an image really stood out beautifully to me today. I saw a group of students outside the home, I believe it was, of the man who designed the flag, Alwyn Bully. And you know, I think that was just such a beautiful image. I tried to imagine what he was saying to them. But Mr. Bully, if you tuned in tonight, I know you listen when you can. Good evening to you, sir, and thank you for doing such an amazing, brilliant job with our national flag. So, you know, we're getting ready to start things off. Don't forget, you can join us via the In the Spotlight Facebook page. So you go to In the Spotlight radio and TV shows, and you go there, you follow us, and you go to the In the Spotlight radio and TV shows group, and you go there and you become a fan as well. Our programs are featured via my YouTube channel, which is for Dinah F. Frampton. So you go there and you subscribe. We're getting ready to start off with our guest tonight. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, based on the information I've read, he ranks as the 4th person in Dominican history to achieve this feat of emerging as the valedictorian of the University of the West Indies Open Campus for 2022. Let me just say good evening. Well, he's a few other things as well, but just recognizing the accolade, especially what got him in the spotlight tonight. Yehudi John, good evening to you.
Pleasant good evening to you, Fedina, and a pleasant good evening to your listeners. Those of you who are tuned in on Q95 and the others who are following on the Facebook Live or your YouTube channel. I just want to say a pleasant good evening. It's nice being in the spotlight this evening.
It is a pleasure to have you. Yehudi, before we progress to anything else, I want to first of all extend condolences to you. Although you just received news of losing a brother, you are still here tonight. How are you feeling? Tell us about this brother that you lost.
Well, I have quite a number of siblings.
Mm-hmm.
My dad has 3 other brothers in the US, 3 other brothers in the United States, and the second one after me, who incidentally is a lawyer, he passed away on Friday night.
Mm-hmm.
It was sudden.
Oh, yes.
It was sudden, so it was not like he was sick or something. He just felt a little bit unwell on Thursday, and he was dead on Friday night. So the news was devastating, and trying to cope. And what I know for now is I only fall asleep when it's very late in the early hours of the morning. But thank God to one of a very good friend of mine who would have experienced death, and when we spoke, she would have given me some good ways, some good coping mechanism, because what I did in the start was like, I felt lonely, and I was just trying to block it out. So get things to do to just block it out. And then whenever I would start to think about it again, it would be a blast and stuff. But in the meantime, I'm just hanging in there. I was at work today, and for a great majority of the time, when I was really engaged, it was off my mind.
Yes.
And as soon as work was finished, and I'm driving home, then it started to hit back.
And there I am bringing it up again.
Yeah. Well, I guess dealing with it,
Yes.
you get different emotions, and we get different emotions. And one of what my friend said to me, who would have experienced it, is a father who passed away, and walked in on a father and met her father dead. And she told me that the more I deal with it, I will get a different emotion. Sometimes I just feel like crying, and trying to be strong in the process, but I'm holding on.
And you know, while you take your sip of water, I can relate to that as well. I've lost both my mom and my dad. Death is not easy to deal with. Over time, it gets better, but in the immediate, you know, it is not. It is. You will experience the experiences that you're currently having. When you're engaged for some time, it may slip in there a little, but you know, because you're keeping busy, you know, the pain and so on disappears for a little bit, but then you know it returns. How did you find out? Well,
I got a message, intermediate message from my dad, and I'm not sure why was the reason, and probably it helped pacify it because I started to process it. If I heard his voice say to me, Terrence had died, I probably would have been going to greater shock. But the person who relayed the news, maybe it was God sent. So I started to rationalize who is Terrence. I started to rationalize who is Terrence before it processed.
You didn't think immediately it was your brother?
No. She just told me somebody close, and she said Terrence. And I'm like, who is Terrence? And I'm thinking in my mind, people, names that are close to Terrence, and then the brother came. So I guess that period of them trying to process who was that person who would have died probably helped cushion the shock of the news. But if I heard it from my father and he said Terrence died, I knew I would have.
Yeah.
After I experienced what I experienced.
Divine intervention.
Yeah, so sometimes, and the problem was my phone broke. So my dad had the news that my phone was broken. So he reached out to that individual so I could relay the news to him. And so I'm kind of, in retrospect, happy. Because if he had told it to me, I'm not sure it might just blow off.
Yeah. Well, please accept our deepest condolences from the family of the In the Spotlight radio show. And we do hope that you can find the strength to continue coping. It is not the easiest thing, but you will get there. What about funeral arrangements? Is it going to be something? I hope that you can actually be there.
Well, he's in the U.S. I'm expecting to leave for the U.S. I'm not sure how soon. I have to discuss it with the authorities that sometimes I don't want to refer to them as stakeholders, but the authorities that matter. Let's put it that way.
Yes, definitely. I think we all understand what you mean.
So, post the discussion, which I have not had, then I will understand when I'm going to be making that move. But I'm hoping to make the move to be there for my dad.
So coming from this really exciting moment, this really amazing news then, you know, while you're celebrating all of this, because I mean, you went viral all over social media. I saw it on M1 News, I saw it on Dominica Breaking News, and we're not, I mean, sometimes we don't really need to pay attention to reactions, but you got over 1,000 reactions, 1.2, 1.3, you know, on those various platforms. And Dominicans, near and far, as a matter of fact, really coming out and showing you love. Pure Dominica love. When Dominicans do well, you can say what you want about our people, you know. You can say what you want about us. But when our people do well, when our people are successful, Dominicans come out and they celebrate with you.
And it's incidentally you said that because that was one of the things I wanted to point out in that show. I wanted to publicly say to the Dominican public, thank you. I mean, I would have posted on my Facebook page that I was valedictorian.
Did you? Have you been able to?
Yes,
because I saw it everywhere else.
I did right now. As soon as the news break through the media, and I'm talking mainstream media, and they use their social media platforms, then it was like friends post calling me and messaging me, congratulations, and so I happened to pop it on Facebook. Somebody shared the a Facebook link with me, and then I'm like, wow. I was like, wow, but then I am a person who do not really thrive so much on. I'm not thrive so much on compliments because I'm always fearful of being overconfident.
Right.
And so I don't thrive so much on compliments. If somebody gives me a criticism, I feel bad. And then because of feeling bad, I try to want to excel so I do not repeat that activity or the action that warranted the critic. And but I was like, people were driving for Dina and stopping their vehicles, putting down the glass and shout congratulations.
Yes.
And then I remember saying to somebody that I'm not sure. She said it doesn't matter. And I said to myself, you see, Dominican people really celebrate their own when we excel. And I want to say on behalf of myself and also the University of the West Indies, a hearty thank you to all these individuals who would have reached out and support Dominica. Now, incidentally, there are 5 campuses with the University of the West Indies, and there's another Dominican who is also from Botica, who is a valedictorian of a UWI campus.
Really?
Yes.
It has not been released as yet?
I'm not sure it has been released. I don't want to call the name.
So you don't want to break that news right there? Oh my goodness!
But what I know for sure is another Dominican. I'm from Botica. I guess when we delve into the biographical aspect of my life, that you will find out that I'm from Botica.
Yes.
But she too, one of her parents is from Botica, and she's a valedictorian at should I say?
You can see the campus.
At Kville campus.
At Kville campus. Oh my God. I'm excited to hear about that. I'm going to read the release from the University of the West Indies. Then we will come to get to know about Yehudi, and then we'll come back to this part. So it started by saying Dominican student Yehudi Elton Scottsdale John is the UWI Open Campus Valedictorian for 2022. John, a senior sports development officer in the Ministry of Sports, Culture and Community Development, has been awarded this top position among all the graduates of the 44 sites of the Open Campus. And then I guess you will explain to some extent, you know, what all of that means when we get to that. John, who completed his BSc in Management Studies with first class honors, will give the valedictory address at the campus's virtual graduation ceremony on Saturday, which is this Saturday, 15th October 2022 at 4 p.m. And I'll quote you there for a moment, and we'll get more into that as well. It says, quoting Mr. John, "For me, the best thing about the Open Campus was the ability to interact with people across the region. Being a UWI alum has been a lifelong dream for me, and I am happy to have finally achieved it." End of quote. During his time at the Open Campus, John served as chair of the Dominica chapter of Guild of Students, and he represented his campus in both the 2017 and 2019 UWI Games, where he played basketball, volleyball, and table tennis. We will talk about that as well. Participating in the UWI Games and the Guilds were priceless opportunities, John remarks. I got the chance to meet some of my classmates face to face, and I got the chance to collaborate as well as to share ideas and experiences with others. According to John, his presentation as valedictorian will center on the theme of gratitude. And he's saying, I picked that theme because I recognize that several people made many sacrifices for us graduates. We are not attaining our degrees by ourselves. That is so important, and we'll talk about that. And so we should not celebrate by ourselves. Rather, there is great reward in having a grateful heart. If we are to achieve genuine happiness and peace of mind, we must be thankful. John joins Darren Pinard, Kirk Edwards, Kirk has been on this program, and Novinia Isaac as Dominican graduates who have been awarded the prestigious position of UWI Open Campus Valedictorians. This will be the third virtual staging of the presentation of graduates by the UWI Open Campus, which will see approximately 584. So this man stood up from 584 graduates, 105 postgraduates and 479 undergraduates, officially graduating with doctorates, masters, bachelors, and associate degrees, as well as certificates and diplomas in a wide range of subject areas. As in the past 2 years, graduates from across the Caribbean will be asked to join in the celebration of the virtual ceremony by creating watch parties with their families and friends to cheer them on as their names are called and their pictures scroll across the screen. So this is the press release from the University of the West Indies Open Campus as it relates to our guest here tonight, Mr. UWI Elton Scottsdale, UD Elton Scottsdale John. Yes, we got it. Keep it locked. We're coming right back. We're going to try to get to know a little bit more about this gentleman before we talk about this major achievement with the University of the West Indies OC. Keep it locked. We're coming back.
Okay, no, there's a story with my name. There's a story with my name.
There's a story with your name.
My name there.
Yes.
So we can start there. I was named after musicians.
And tragedies, dreams, hopes, and aspirations, untold stories, touching the human and personal side of all people in politics, religion, sports, business, music, culture, the media, and more. Getting to know farmers, public servants, youth, the ordinary Dominican. Listen to their stories. No limitations, no restrictions, no holds barred. In the Spotlight, we'll also spotlight interesting topics, issues, and relevant situations. Don't miss In the Spotlight on Q95 FM radio every Monday night from 8 p.m. In the Spotlight on Q95 FM radio every Monday night from 8 p.m. In the Spotlight, featuring people from all walks of Dominican life, spotlighting their triumphs and tragedies, dreams, hopes, aspirations, untold stories, touching the human and personal side of our people in politics, religion, sports, business, music, culture, the media, and more. Getting to know our farmers, our public servants, youth, and the ordinary Dominican. Listen to their stories. No limitations, no restrictions, no holds barred. In the Spotlight will also spotlight interesting topics, issues, and relevant situations. Don't miss In the Spotlight on Q95 FM radio every Monday night from 8 p.m. In the Spotlight.
we are back at 4 minutes past the 9 o'clock hour. Thank you for joining us for tonight's In the Spotlight radio show with UWI OC, UWI Open Campus Valedictorian for 2022, Yehudi John. Good evening to you again, Yehudi.
Good evening, Fidina.
All right, and an opportunity again to welcome everyone.
Yes, I just want to say to those of us who are listening, it's a pleasure to be in the spotlight this evening, and where you could learn about UD. So those of us who are tuning on Q95 or on the Facebook Live or on YouTube, I'm gonna say stay tuned as I am brought into focus by Fidina.
Yes, let's zoom in on Yehudi tonight.
Yes.
So Yehudi, just as we took the break, you were saying to me that there's a story behind your name. And listen, I have your number stored in my phone, and it was only last night I changed it and corrected it. First of all, I thought it was YU. That was how your name spelled.
Yes.
So I think I had YUDHEI or something like that. And then I said, you know what, I went online and there were two spellings too. Somebody had a different spelling. And then I saw the correct spelling as well. I said, you know what, let me ask the young man how his name spells. And then you gave me the spelling. And so I changed it in my phone. If I show you now, it's there in the correct way. Right? But yes, let us start off with that.
Well, I was named after musicians. I do not know why my father thought that I would have been a musician. But my father was the person who named me. And the Yehudi John, I was named after a famous Russian violinist.
Oh.
The name Yehudi is also a Hebrew name, but strangely, that violinist is Yehudi Menuhin. And I always knew I was named after musicians, but I thought it was just Elton John.
Right.
As I was growing up, because I guess my mother told me. But it was a nun who brought it to my attention. And she said, do you know who you were named after? I know I was named after a musician, but she said Yehudi Menuhin, and he's a violinist.
Yehudi
Menuhin. Yes. And that's the Yehudi. Now the Elton John stands out.
Of course.
Because
yes,
everybody
we all know
knows
Elton
John.
Candle in the Wind.
That's right.
Yes.
And when you look at me, that's a candle in the wind.
Yes, yes.
And Scottdale John, I'm a junior really. My dad's name is Scottdale. But what other people do not know.
Scottdale or Scottsdale?
Scottdale.
Scottdale.
Yes. And what people do not know, he's from St. Joseph. So my dad and Jeff Joe, they went to school together. And people always talk about the grammar axis, the grammar academites. So many people from the grammar school and the SMA. So my dad and Jeff Joseph, they who grew up together, they played their music together. That's how the thing started. Right? So he was the guitarist. He's not known in the public as that because my dad was a Seventh-day Adventist. But you understand the very, very, very early beginnings of Gramax. My dad was a guitarist playing with Jeff John Jem. Growing up together, yes. So I'm named after musicians.
So this Scottdale
is my dad's.
Is your dad's name?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
I see.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So your father, because he was somewhat of a musician, he decided
was a musician.
He thought he was
the guitar.
if he plays the guitar, then he's a musician. And then he decided, I'm going to name my son after the names of musicians, including himself.
Yeah. Well, I think all of us would have had a taste of his lineage. So we have Julius John, who is my first brother, and we have Scottdale John, who is me, and then there's the other one after me, who bears his third name, and then the fourth one bears my grandfather's name. So each of us has one of the names on his lineage.
Okay. So. Okay. But tell me a bit more about him, though, apart from him, thinking he could play the guitar.
Well, alright, I will tell you. A lot of people think that there was somebody who remarked to me, wow, you did it so easily in terms of achieving the valedictorian award. And I think it's genetic. My dad is a super brilliant guy. He's a tickler for detail. I will tell you, if I were to do an exam and he was there and I get 99, he doesn't care one bit about the 99. And I experienced that from him, although I didn't grow up around him at all. But when he come on vacation, I remember being in 4th form grammar school, teaching me the Cartesian plane, and I like mathematics, by the way. And he was that kind of person, so I ended up doing a test and not getting 100%, and he was pissed because he had assisted me ahead of the class. But I also experienced it with my smaller brothers, and the one who passed away recently, I remember my dad getting pretty pissed while I was out in the US on vacation. And I was out in the US for a period of time, and the boys were at school, and he was pretty pissed that Terrence had not gotten 100. He got 99 point something, and he was pissed because the mistake he made was something that my dad would have helped him with and then he had not studied enough. So my father is a tickler for detail, so he likes excellence. And I think all of us, every one of us, with beer that I call it a smudging. So I think that's why. So although I am down to earth and like a little calm, if you want to call it that way, and he probably unsuspectingly, and so that I think I think, but more so because of his attention to detail. I tend to want to be like my father because he was that always known to be a brilliant guy. He is an electrical engineer.
Oh.
And well, really and truly, he would have been a medical doctor because he was one of the top people at A levels when he was in Dominica. And his intention was to study at UWI medicine. So because I knew that about my father when I was growing up, I wanted to be a medical doctor because that was his first aspiration until he migrated to the US where he had a different direction and he became an electrical engineer and an electrical contractor. But I grew up wanting to be a medical doctor because my dad was supposed to be a medical doctor. And when I didn't get the opportunity, and I have a love for children, so I started to teach. My first job was teaching, and I always found it difficult to let go my 5th formers because I was teaching at the upper secondary school. Get them from 4th form, you set a platform, and you want to see them, and it was always a challenge. And so I got the opportunity to study in Cuba, and I can't remember what is the reason why I held back, but it was all, I always found it difficult letting go of my students. And then when I lost the opportunity to study medicine, I speak Spanish. People who know me, I can speak Spanish and they wonder why I speak Spanish so well. I'm not sure if I can still speak it. And it was solely because I was so interested in studying medicine in Venezuela. When that fell through the cracks, I was not enthusiastic about going to study anymore. So because I was one of the people.
I have to interrupt you just a little, Yehudi. I have someone who is going to, you can put on your headphones, someone who is going to join us on the line, and we have to catch her now, or else we will not be able to catch her again. Let's see if she's here. Good evening. Hello? What is going on here? Oh my. I'm trying to get this, take a call there for Yehudi from the head of the Open Campus in Dominica, and we seem to be having a challenge with the line. Hello? What's going on? 9:13 is the time in the studios. I suspect I'm going to try a little magic and call her using my mobile and just put it on speaker, and we should be able to get, yes, I'm trying to take it, but I'm not sure what is happening here. So we're just going to call her right here and make this happen. Let's see if we can make this happen. Sometimes, you have to make the, yes, and allow the technology to work for you. So I am going to try this again. And let's see if we can make this work. I really want to get Kim on. I really do want to get her, because for me, I think that is a major milestone. Just letting Kim on know here, I'm calling from my phone, and let's just make this happen. Hey, you know, sometimes you have to just work with the technology and make it happen, make it work. So if you're just tuning into the program, this is the In the Spotlight radio show, and our guest tonight is Yehudi John, and Yehudi is the valedictorian of the University of the West Indies Open Campus. Hi, Kimon. We have to improvise a bit tonight, so I'm actually using my mobile to make contact with you, and we can in fact hear you. Good evening to you, my dear. You are the head of the Open Campus in Dominica. You must be pretty elated that one of our own is the valedictorian of the Open Campus for 2022.
Yes, indeed. And so I'd like to say good night to everyone, and a special good night to Mr. Yehudi John, valedictorian, Mr. Yehudi John, first class. Yehudi, you know how we in Dominica and Dominica side are very, very, very proud of you. And we're very excited for you that you have joined Darren and Lavinia and Cook as our team of valedictorians. And we know that that is no easy feat, of course. You know that, Fadina, yourself, you are a UWI student.
I am.
You know that there is excellence. You know that we are the top 1.5 of the entire world. So it's for somebody to top all the students of the Open Campus is not an easy feat at all. But we are very, very proud of Yehudi and his work. Yehudi was very serious about his work. Yehudi was at the Open Campus almost every night, doing his schoolwork and really committing to really doing his best. And so I'm very proud, you know, that his hard work has paid off in that regard. So Yehudi, I'm trusting that you are hearing me, but I'm
Yes,
very, very proud of you. And I just want you to know that your UWI family is very grateful to God for his blessings upon your life. Fernanda, I also wanted to say that it wasn't just about the academics for Yehudi. Yehudi has been very supportive in our endeavors as well. So he was always at our lectures, our programs, supporting us with those. He was the chair of our student guild, and so did a lot of work there in terms of assisting the local students and representing the student causes and so on. And he represented Dominica and the Open Campus at the UWI Games twice, both in 2017 and in 2019. So that's a person that had tremendous school spirit, and now has translated that into alumni spirit as well, you know. And so we're just very, very proud, and you know, words cannot express how happy we are for him and how happy we are for our site that something so wonderful has happened to us again for the fourth time. You know, when you think that UWI is as big as Jamaica all the way up north, and we have the Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, Cayman, all these places. We have Belize on the other side there, and then we have Trinidad at the bottom, and all the islands in between. For UWI to have done so well is really, really tremendous. So UWI, congratulations again, and I'm congratulating you on behalf of the entire team of our members at UWI Open Campus. And we also we know it's bittersweet because you are going through a grieving period as well, and so we do want to offer condolences to you on behalf of the entire UWI team as well. And tonight, I just want to say too, Yehudi is from Whitaker, I'm from Lapwing, so South.
Hey,
I don't know if we can talk about the other student from KB. I know Yehudi mentioned it a little earlier. KB hasn't even really go ahead to announce, but it's from David and Whitaker, I believe. So,
Actually, Southeast.
oh my goodness. The rest of us are jealous. But Kimon, I know you have to run. You have something important and urgent that you're dealing with at the moment. But I really want to give you the opportunity to speak to persons who are listening and considering the open campus, or probably not even considering, but tell them why that they should consider the open campus, or just generally consider advanced education.
I think that one of the greatest decisions you can make for your life is really determining that you are going to continue with your education. So whether that is through our continuing and professional education courses that we have, which are short courses for Dina, or through the degree programs, I always say an investment, your education is always a good, solid investment. At UWI, we're a very good option as well, because students, as Yehudi said in his speech, because he pre-recorded for Saturday, that it's a very good option in terms of, particularly for people who will not be able to leave their families. You know, for that you have your commitments, so wives, really, and a lot of people listening to the sound of my voice have their commitments and cannot just leave and go somewhere else to do a degree program. So UWI provides that viable option for you. We are part of that top 1.5% of all universities and colleges in the entire world. So that is a tremendous brand to be a part of, and that is relevant whether you are doing continuing professional education courses or if you're doing full-time, full degree programs. We are a very good choice for you as far as furthering your education is concerned. And you know, you think you're busy, we all are busy, but Yehudi is one of the busiest people I know, and he came first. You know?
Yes.
I also want to say big up to Yehudi because, you know, you and I have been hearing about middle underachievement. When we have our continuing professional education programs, you hear 500 participants, 450 of them are women and 50 men. Right? But as my colleague reminds me, yes, middle underachievement is true. But just understand that of the 4 valedictorians Dominicans, 3 of them are men.
Yes. Indeed.
So it's Yehudi night. So Yehudi, I just want to congratulate you again for Dina. Thank you for those few minutes.
Yes.
And all my best for the rest of the program.
Thank you. And you too, let me just extend congratulations to you as well on the achievement of your PhD. You are actually Dr. Kimon Joseph. It's 2 years. Well, it's the first time I'm probably having you in a public forum, so I'm using the opportunity. All right? Thank you, Dr. Joseph. Have a pleasant evening.
Okay, again, thank you, Dr. Joseph. It's always a pleasure. And I'm looking forward to continue working with University of the West Indies. As you know, like you said, I have joined the alumni, UWI alumni, and it's something that I always hope to be, because there are some very stately gentlemen who, when I was growing up, I probably would have looked up to, and some of these individuals would have been UWI alumni, you graduated from the University of the West Indies, and people like Rex Nettleford, who is somebody you would have seen in sociology, people like that being a UWI graduate, and because the University of the West Indies, as it is referred to as a light rising in the West, is something that, you know, you can feel proud of, you know. And then while being at well, at the time it was called CIFOCOL, when people were talking about this McGill University in Canada and all those universities in the US like Harvard and quite the name the others, when we were going to school, I really wanted to be UWI alumni. I really wanted to be UWI alumni. And there's a joke about it. In 2015, I went to England, and I was living very close to the University of East London. An opportunity presented itself for me to go to the University of East London, and to me, I wanted to go to UWI.
You wanted to go to UWI?
And what about the UWI that I wanted to go to, but I just wanted to go to UWI.
Well, what has happened this year is what about UWI? Why you had to go to UWI?
See, this is sometimes when you plan your life and you think you're in control.
And you're not.
You're not.
God
is. And I guess that was the reason why I had to go to UWI, so I could be a UWI, not just a UWI alumni, but a valedictorian, you know. And I think when it will be marked in history, it will be an important fit. But not so much for me, because my mother considers me smart, and I think I am smart, not cheeky smart. I think I'm smart. And so when I'm in the classroom for Diana, from since I'm a little boy, I'm very competitive. And although I want to come first, I don't care what you get. All I want to do is to do my best. So I always tell myself I don't want to get less than 90. And I always try to get 100. So that has always been my drive. So if you get 100 and I get 99, I don't care. Because I want to work for my excellence is that. So I'm competing with myself. And I've been that competitive.
Are you saying, Yehudi, that this started from the time you were like in primary school?
Yeah, I grew up in primary school and I was always coming first and second in the class.
And there's always this one person that you all are just battling for first and second.
That person was Gloucester Central.
Oh my goodness. Where is that person now?
I think
He's overseas somewhere?
Yes, he's in the Netherlands.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And when we went to grammar school, then I was in the top 3 in my class, in first form and second form. Always first and second. In first form, second
and who was
form.
that person in high school?
It was Colin Thomas in first form and second form. He would give me a little spanking. And then when we go to third form, when we go to, God bless Colin, so who passed away sadly. When we went to third form, I joined a class with Trotter. Noni Trotter, nobody can beat Noni Trotter in the class. And we also had people like Amanda Williams, who was super smart. So these are my friends.
I'm loving this.
These are my friends. So, and then you had Craig Stedman. So from third form, we started doing the honor roll, I think, from second form. And from third form, I would have been on the principal's honor roll through the fifth form, but always battling with, I never came first because nobody was, first was reserved for Noni.
For Noni,
Yeah.
Trotter. Well, we know about those Trotters, let me tell you.
First was reserved for Noni Trotter. And second and third, and there was a year on a couple terms when one of our classes, the top 5, usually the principals and all at grammar school was the top 3. But there was a year, a particular, or maybe 1 or 2 terms, that Yehudi, Colin, Amandi, and Craig Stedman were on that list. So that was like 5 people because there were 4 of us and Noni at number 1.
Yes, so Noni, yeah, in that spot, yes.
You know, so it has always been, I have always been like that. And I couldn't be bothered if I come first, second, or third. I just know I was competing with myself.
Right.
So getting the valedictorian award at UWI was not so much something for me, but I'm hoping that people who see me as an outgoing person, nobody looks at me and think I'm a nerd. Absolutely nobody.
No,
right?
definitely not.
And so I want to tell like an ordinary student, you can be yourself, you can play your sports, you can be involved in other activities in school, because I was involved in things like Key Club and stuff like that in grammar school. And you can be yourself, be that kind of, and then just when it's come to schoolwork, just do your schoolwork. And then you're going to achieve, you know. I always tell people when I speak with the students, you know, like recently I was called at Dominica Grammar School to speak with the second formers after school reopened. And something I said to them, you're a student. A lawyer has to go and deal with his cases, go in the court and do lawyer business. Doctor goes to the hospital, take care of sick people. The bus driver drives the bus, and that's what they have to do. You are a student, that's what your profession is.
That's it.
And what you have to do is study a book, do your homework.
You have nothing to
And
worry
you have
about.
nothing to worry
You don't
about.
have to worry about how you get fed. You don't have to worry about where your books are coming. Let your parents worry about that. All you have to worry about is learning.
And that's all. And then I have this unique experience. I didn't grow up with my father. My father has always been based in the US. So I grew up in a single parent. Well, I started growing up in an extended home where all the aunties were supporting, and some of them still support today. Yeah, so people like Auntie Claudia and Auntie Rosetta, these people would always support. Yeah, they would open they are 1 bedroom, and if it's 10 of us that go to school, 10 of us in the 1 bedroom, because that's what they have. The love of the extended family and the support was there. It was great. But there was this period when I lived with my mom in a single parent home. And things were challenging because my mother would have worked when she was a young lady and save her money to send her children to school. So now when we migrated from Botica in 1989, she paying the rent, if her savings, buying the food, if her savings, you know it's not unlimited. So when it runs short and she's not working and she's taking care of her 3 children at the time, she was dedicated to taking care of her 3 children. And yes, we got the support from the extended family, like we said, but that particular period, it was a real rough time. And I can remember in my 5th form to 6th form years, during that period, I remember preparing for CXC. And my mother's credit bill was over $1,000.
Wow.
And the credit bill was not, it wasn't expensive chicken or macaroni and cheese. It was the sugar and the flour. First, and I don't mind sharing this experience.
Please
because
do. It's nothing to be embarrassed.
there was a lime
about.
tree. There was a lime tree in the back of our yard, and God bless that lime tree, and it produced fruit 24/7, 365. And the sugar we created in the shop was to sweeten the squash. And when the lime finished, the lime leaf was making hot water. Tea, and that was your meal sometimes. And I was undaunted. I was a student. And at the time I even used to help some of my colleagues who went to grammar school together with me, especially in the 5th form year. I was good in maths and good in physics. So the students who from the community where I live and who are at grammar school and doing the subjects we'd collaborate and we'd help one another. And even in spite of the fact that that was my situation, you were
committed to learning.
Yeah, and it was because you're a student and your responsibility is to learn. Then my mother would get support from the rest of the family, my grandfather, and wherever it came in there, because you can well imagine you have 3 children, you have to pay transportation. So even if you get the money, it's gonna have to pay for the transport, you have to pay for the bus because the bus is not for free. So, and in all of that, it was all about studying my book. My brother, I'll be supportive with my brother and my sister. We have to study a book because if this is our way out, it's our way out. So you can be a student and have all those challenges and still excel.
I'm going to backtrack a bit to where we were before we got him on the line. And we were talking about your dad, and I think you were just about wrapping up about your dad. But I'm intrigued now with your mom, because based on what you're saying, if your mother in advance saved what little she had for her children's education, it says that was a parent who wanted her children to succeed. She was focused on ensuring her children got an education. Is your mom still alive?
Yes, she is.
She is. I hope she's tuned into the program.
I hope she is myself.
Because, this is a mother to be emulated. Based on what you're saying, Yehudi, and I believe what you're saying to us to be the truth. Tell me more about this amazing lady.
Well, speaking of my mother, I cannot really speak of her in isolation. Because there are 2 other people who were very tremendous in my upbringing. And these people were her mom and dad.
Okay.
My grandfather.
Your grandparents.
And my grandmother. And my mother was, if I can say, held back. She was held back on we doing well at school. There were no 2 ways about it. And so she would make the sacrifices that she would have had to make throughout her life. And I guess maybe she was planning in advance. And I saw my mother making what I refer to as an investment in her children. And one of the things that forced me to learn, be dedicated in learning, because my brother, who was the first and the second, my brother, who is, I don't know, people maybe know him as Kevin John, he was more hands-on. So he would go into the radio and be able to fix it if it had spoiled and stuff. And he was more pragmatic.
He was more skilled.
Yeah, but then he had his capabilities of learning as well. So it's not that he was not academically inclined. He has it as well. But I remember walking in on my mother one day, and I can never forget it. I can get amnesia, No, I will never forget that day. And I remember walking in my mother's bedroom when in Maho, because we grew up in Botica. And after my father migrated to the US as a little boy, we went back to Botica. So I was just 2. So I did preschool and primary school in Botica, and then I came back living in Maho to go to grammar school. And I remember once I walked in on my mother, she was sitting on a bed crying and sewing panties.
Oh my goodness.
And that day is what said you must learn school.
You must learn school.
That this I can bet $1 million no.
So she was mending her underwears.
She was mending her
underwears. Not going to be thrown away.
Well, yeah, I don't know if I can say it on the radio, but I've already said it. And she was crying.
Oh.
And as a little boy in grammar
How old were
school,
you?
I probably was in 1st or 2nd floor.
Okay, so about 12.
Yeah.
Thereabout.
And then since that time I say you must.
Did she see you?
Well, yeah, because I walked in, she was in the right way. I walked in. It was a shortcut to the bathroom. There were two entrances to the bathroom. Her bedroom, and higher up the aisle was the other entrance to the bathroom. And it's my mother, so I off my mother's bedroom and I get to work. And I saw her and she was crying and sewing panties. And I can still see the image today in my mind. And I say, what's my name? Muslim school? Because you would have been here. Yeah, she's making the sacrifice. And I understood the sacrifice because I have to go in the credit union for me to get money to pay the rent. I have to go to the credit union. There was this bus driver we would travel on, and his name was Philip. And at the end of the month, she would pay for the 3 of us. Alright, Kevin, Yehudi, and Lucia at the end of the month. And it is always like I have to go to the bank to withdraw the money. So I'm trying to think and rationalize things when it's happening. So I asked the question, and she told me, like, she had saved the money when she was a young girl, so she's now using it to send us to school. And then when I saw the sacrifice she was making, she didn't go in the bank and take money and go on Galavan, because, believe it or not, I have never seen my mother Galavan in my life. Now, we grew up Seventh-day Adventist, but when I was a kid, she didn't used to go to church.
Okay.
So, no, I mean, you're a young person, you don't go in church, you don't go in church. You understand? But we Seventh-day Adventist, and she wasn't going to church. So, if it's backslide, if she had that backslidden, then you probably would expect her to go to a party there, I never saw that in my mother. Never.
This is very, very touching, Yehudi.
Yeah. So and when I walked in, seeing her making the sacrifice, we living in Maui for years, my mother never go.
Never go.
And she was a young
because
person.
Going out would be spending money that she needed otherwise to change. So you all were always a priority, Yehudi.
My mother children were all, and up to a day like today. Up to a day like today. I can tell you, if I broke, now my mother, you hear me say I broke, she will chuck the $20 in my pocket if she has it.
Amazing.
She has always been that self-sacrificing. So whatever I could get from her, growing up is what I could have gotten from her. And so that is the person who my mother is. That is who she was when I was growing up as a kid. And in the same vein, who would have opened the doors to her nephews and nieces. So
everybody would drink the lime leaf tea.
But in those days, that section of my life was only she and her children.
Okay.
That was only she and her children.
Okay.
But in Mao, it was different dynamics.
Okay.
People go in grammar school, people go in Wesley High School, they stay by Auntie Lauren is in Roseau, Auntie Lauren have a rose in Roseau, so everybody stayed by Auntie Lauren. So it was like a house of Wassenville, we call it.
Yes.
You know, and those experiences. And when I saw the older cousins helping the younger cousins, that kind of a collaborative spirit and teamwork is something that stays with me. Because if somebody knows me well and they're honest with themselves, they will say, "You is a team player." Because I will try to help everybody. And even when I was at UWI, I would be doing an assignment, and somebody probably who was in my class or in a shared group, Yehudi, I have that. What do you think? If we're doing different courses, and I use the breaks, which is something I will talk about when people are studying how to be able to consume knowledge in a given period of time without cramming and being still alert. And we would discuss it, because that was something that was instilled in me from way back when at home with older cousins who are in fifth form and I'm in maybe second or third form, or in fourth form and I'm in second form, and they'll help us, you know, when we saw that. So that collaborative spirit is something that became ingrained in me to help other people, and totally like today I still do the same.
You also mentioned your grandparents. Tell me about the influence of those two and how they impacted your life as well.
Well, my grandmother was always the homemaker, and she was that nice, composed, timid angel. That's how I see her, that's how I remember, and she was still like that until I die. My grandfather, who was a disciplinarian, and he would speak. So if I'm the one who was delinquent, he has not even beat me yet. He's only speaking and the others are crying. The other cousins, like I said, we grew up in an extended family. So even if Auntie Gloria had a own home and Auntie Palestine had a own home, all of us growing up in the yard, my grandfather speak, when he would speak and he's in a disciplinary mood, everybody else is crying because they know he's not to be played with. But there was no nicer man in the world than he was. So I grew up going into the garden with my grandfather and being around him a lot. And so a lot of the things that became me able to see is because of my grandfather. And when he passed away, it was not an easy thing for me. Although I was already a big enough man, when he passed away, it was a challenging thing for me. I didn't allow him to see it when he had cancer. He died of prostate cancer. And I didn't allow him to see how it impacted me, because I had not seen myself as his grandchild. He had embraced me so much that I saw myself as his son. People remember me when I was a little boy, and if you hear me discuss religious matters, you say, "What?" And it's because of my grandfather, you know. And as a little boy, I used to be with my grandfather so much, and we would talk religion while we were in the garden, milking the cows, grazing the goats, because he would have, his investment was, he was a farmer, so he would have plenty cattle, plenty goats, and he fished until a particular time in his life when he stopped, and then planting for subsistence. So I would be in the garden with him, and if we checking the animals, so we'd have those kind of conversations. Well, okay, we're gonna make a small plot of land, and that is Yehudi garden. While they're planting the tolom, we're planting the dash, we're planting the place, it's always my garden. And so we'd speak, and then I started to speak in church as well because of that. So I had actually a little boy preaching in the church, and it was only because of my grandfather. So a lot of things, my prayerfulness today was not something if you look at me, you will not see I'm not spirit. I'm walking and praying to God. And he's one of the main reasons why I think I excel in Yehudi. I think he is the reason. The God I'm talking about, the God I serve, is the reason. And my grandfather was the one who instilled all those things in me. So he was there supportive, taught me how to be ambitious, because when things were difficult, you had to make a garden. So we'd go and plant, although we were planting for subsistence. When I plant my garden with my grandfather, everything when we harvest is to sell. Right? So we plant dashing, and then you harvest your,
yes.
I want to say it in local parlance, you wash your dashing.
Yes.
You harvest the dashing, you clean it up, and you go and sell it for setpa. And setpa was the Southeastern District Association.
Okay.
It's a farmers association.
Okay.
Yeah. And we sell it, and that was from my garden. But his big garden is to feed everybody. But he taught me that. So then we take out that plot of land from Dashin, and a different set of nutrients is being, because it actually put in nutrition because it's dead leaves and everything on the dead roots, and you plant another crop that takes another type of nutrient, so we plant toloma. And then when we harvest the toloma, we make, that is to sell.
That was a farm.
That was to sell. So he taught me those things. My grandfather taught me how to survive through the process. I wish I was more pragmatic today.
I was about to ask, do you still do any level of gardening?
I'm not sure how green my hands are. I'm not sure how green my hands are.
At some point,
but
you
I still do
something
it.
in
I still do
grandpa's
when
memory.
yes. Sometimes I will tell you what, I don't like being selfish. Yeah. And one of the things that we did to make money, because all those things we did, those monies were not to go and shop on the road or buy nice sneakers. That was not that. Those monies were to pay for your school fees, pay your school bus, buy your books when at the new school year. And he taught me to do that. And one of the things that we also did was to make bay oil. So we would harvest the bay leaf, and then we're gonna make bay oil, and that when we sell the bay oil to essential oils and spices, when we sell it to them, those monies were to buy school books and school uniform and school shoes and everything like that. And then after, when I was already working, I went and I break the burden to make bay oil, because that's what I knew we were doing it all the time. And you're not going to believe for that. I remember touching my face and it burned me, make a big black scar on my face. And in my rational mind, I said, you know what? When you were at school, you used to make bay oil for you to go to school and to pay your school books. Now you're a teacher and you have your salary. The bay leaf, the same bay leaf that there, is for the children who are coming after you to make their bay oil and stuff like that. I mean, I stopped.
So you think the burning was a sign?
It was a sign. I treated it as a sign. And be honest with you, I will be very, very, very frank with you, because there were the other cousins who were younger and going to secondary school. Some of them which I was teaching at secondary school. I saw myself like I was competing with them, because they're growing up in the same situation. They're still growing up in Botica. Parents are homemakers, and then the fathers maybe have a garden. You understand? So those resources were the same resources. So now it was somebody else's turn, and I saw it as that. And I never made beer after that.
You never made beer
after that. I'm not saying that I will not make it now, because I sure I can jump in my boots and go in there and do it. But I was saying, okay, you don't have to be selfish, because you're making a salary, and then somebody is struggling and you're taking what I could be able to help them, because everybody knew it was that,
And so you speak very highly of your maternal grandparents. What about from the other side? Did you know these?
Yes.
You have a good relationship. What was going on there?
Yes, I mean, I both sides of my family, I embraced them. And my mother, politically, growing up, she didn't have nobody that was totally like my mother. Yes.
Okay.
And back in those days, there was the sentiments of communism.
Okay.
So if you were Labourite, you were considered because I don't know if you remember, there's a Communist Party. And then my dad grew up in the US, and which is defined as the world's greatest democracy. And so I have always had both sides of the parents. And I said, when I'm going to write my autobiography, I'm going to write it. It's supposed to be entitled Embracing the Divide.
Embracing the Divide.
Yes.
Mine is going to be Behind the Laughter. Just so you all know what you're treating.
Yeah. And so both sides of my family were embraced. Yeah. And so my grandfather and my grandmother, like my grandmother and my maternal grandmother, my paternal grandmother was the same angel, quiet homemaker, lady in the house. My grandfather on my father's side, who was a husband, he was the going in garden and staying a whole 3 weeks in bush. Them fellows were just working farmers. I can tell you, my grandfather would come down to us and go back. My grandfather, when I go to St. Joseph to spend some time, my maternal side is Whitaker. My paternal side is St. Joseph. And so when I go to St. Joseph, sometimes I see my grandfather early morning when he gets out of the house. And I only quick as if I see him again when he comes back down. And sometimes he go up early, come back down in the night. But he was a laughter, he was a guy of laughter. And we talk plenty salt.
Pally salt.
We talk a lot. And that man, I mean, one thing about him is he doesn't forget. So if something happened in 1956 on a Sunday morning, he knows it is. So when he's telling back the story, he will tell it to you Sunday, whatever, 1956. He had that kind of memory. Yeah, and
he could have gotten it from there too.
Well, my father is on that side.
Yes.
My father is on that side. So we spent a lot of time. I would go to St. Joseph and sneak into my grandfather's section, and we just sit down and talk. So, talk.
You enjoyed that.
Talk smart.
Look at you. You say no, big grin on your face. So it really seems like that was something that you enjoyed doing with your grandpa.
But because he thought, and I say thought, it was. You probably notice I don't hang out plenty.
No.
All the friendly, I'm friendly with everybody. I don't really hang out plenty because I do not like too much of a nice conversation.
Your own company.
Yeah, but sometimes they have me reclusing myself because I don't like to indulge in useless conversations. But my grandfather, he was always very, how do I say it? You know, you would learn from this sort. You know, you make a joke out of something, but there's a message in there. And so those times spent with my grandfather, they were much more rewarding than going on around St. Joseph. I mean, my best friend is, one of my best friends is Kimon Darrow, and we grew up together in St. Joseph. And I probably go to St. Joseph and they will pass by Kimon. Because I spent all the time with my grandfather.
You want to hang?
Yeah, because my grandfather, whenever he was there, we would talk. So then, in his latter end of his life, quite a few years after a stroke, he was more in home and stuff, especially those days there. Man, you wouldn't believe. Those days were really, really, really good days because we could now talk and reason, you know, and teach me things that, you know, you can only get from your grandfather, not even from your father.
And some of those include what, Yehudi? Some of the things that your paternal grandpa taught you, outside of making you laugh.
Well, family was always an issue. And so some of those profound things that he would have taught us was the value of family. You understand? And in spite of, you know, everybody had a little day forward, a little shortcomings, if you want to call it like that. In spite of that, that guy valued family. And he would have, these are some of the conversations. You know, I mean, down to tracing my bloodline, he tell me, if you know a John, they're not your family. Because he was not an only child, but he was the only boy because he had a brother that died before making children. His father was an only boy. His grandfather was an only child. That kind of a thing, and it came in how many generations above him that were not Johns. But he was saying to you, if it's Bedminster, leave it alone. If it's Castor, leave it alone. Now these people were not even from St. Joseph because I want to know which John is my family.
Yes.
Because I like family and we'll be talking family so highly. So although I claim some Johns because of just the surname, so like people like Clem John, who I looked up to a lot, and this is Tyron John,
his wife.
Me from my sports program, I embrace them as family, but they're not really blood family. You understand? But my grandfather would tell me, okay, the Bedminsters from Marigot, Castors, these people will be related to me. So some of those things, now I do not know these people, I really do not know them, but he was just telling me who they were. And so family was that kind of a vibe from him. And I also value family a lot. So if you're my cousin and you're my 90th cousin, you're my cousin.
That's it, I agree. Third, fourth, and fifth cousin, not in that.
Hey, you can be 90th cousin and you're my cousin because I value family. And it's something that I got from my grandfather.
And as you speak about family, you're married?
Yes, I am.
And you have some children. Tell us about your family.
Well,
Smile. Smile again, people. A big smile on his face for those of you who are listening via radio.
Yeah, I'm blessed with 3 kids.
3 children.
Yes, the first just recently turned 16. And he goes to the Alpha Walden Secondary School and is in 5th form. And then I have two other beautiful children. Tyler, who was named after my second brother, that's the one after me.
Okay.
And he's super smart. He's a chemical engineer.
Oh.
And so I named Tyler after him. And so
Tyler is a girl?
No, Tyler is a boy.
Okay.
So Tyler.
It's unisex. That name is unisex. Yes.
So Tyler John is my second son, and my daughter, one and only, is Nyla John.
So you have 2 boys and a girl.
Boys and a girl.
Yes.
Yes.
So Tyler and Nyla. Okay.
And Yehudi. Yehudi was named after, I think I can say it. I had a little girlfriend. And she had a brother, his name was Yehudi, and I like that name.
Oh my God. I'm sorry.
I like that name bad, so I told myself whenever I make a boy.
Did you give your wife that backstory?
She knows that.
Okay.
I was.
I mean, at the time, did you give her the backstory?
So it was Yehudi. So I figured why it's from my name and the Wani. So although his name is Yehudi, that's not my son. That was my little chick's brother.
Yes.
I named my son Yehudi because I just like that name. Bad. And we still have a very good relationship. That older girlfriend, I call her mother, mommy, still on the daddy, father, daddy, and the siblings are like my brothers.
Oh,
yeah,
that's
so
nice.
Yeah, if you're gonna make it, if you and I were in a relationship before, you're supposed to be my friend.
Of course.
And if we are in a relationship and the relationship cannot work, then we establish that we are better off as friends. So let's be friends. And so maybe all my past girlfriends are my friends. That is Yehudi, and his second name. I remember my wife at the time. She's my ex-wife now.
Oh.
At the time we were looking at basketball, and we were looking for names. So we had that baby book and looking for names, and we couldn't find something. And then Desi Gana Diop.
What?
Desi Gana Diop. The guy played for Dallas Mavericks. That's number 7. And then the announcer, the commentator, called his name. I mean, I always knew the guy because I like basketball, so watching basketball 24/7, 365, watching basketball. I'm at those times I probably was coaching already into school games, and I like basketball. And the commentator said, Desi Gana Diop, and Bobo was just still and that's it. Desi Gana is the name, and his surname is Diop. He's an African who played in the NBA. And his name was Desi Gana, so Yehudi was named Desi Gana after Desi Gana Diop.
Okay then.
Yeah, so I like that name. I like the name.
How are the children? I mean, how is family life?
Well, it's not like it's not what it's supposed to be. Yeah, it's not what it's supposed to be. And one of the things I did not want to do, I did not want to be studying to compete with my kids, and it happened. And during my time at UWI, my kids did not get as much as they needed to get off me, because I was, like I said to you, I go to work, and then when I reach home, if I don't get a little 15 minutes of a power nap, take a shower, so I was gone.
Fuka.
I was gone, I'm telling you. I aligned the person, and then I said to the mother that think of it like I am in America studying. And allow me to do well.
Yes.
And then when I'm finished, then I will pick up the pieces.
Yeah.
And both of them, because I have my kids with separate women, and both of them agreed, and they were very supportive. And so I want to take this opportunity to say thank you to them for that. And so now I am in the process of putting my pieces together because I'm now done with school.
For now.
So for now.
Yes.
For now, I'm hoping to start my masters very soon.
Yes.
And you know, say while the iron, you have to beat it.
That's right.
Make it while the sun shine. But I don't want to be in competition with them. So now I have to be able to find a new balance that includes them. You know, while I had the support of the parents, the mothers, helping them, I cannot absent myself from that. And so relationship wise, all of us is one big melting pot of fun, and it's was John.
It was John. You spoke about being involved, loving basketball just a while ago. So we also know you to be very much involved in sports. Tell us the levels of involvement in sports and when did it all start?
There was a teacher when I was a little boy going to primary school. His name was David Pascal. God bless his soul. Now he's the brother of Ben Pascal. And David, like me, I suspected, was attracted to people who were smart. And he would bring his football to school because he was a sportsman. He would bring his football to school in Botica. And then because I was doing well in school and like my football, he'd give me the football. So when we come on the road to play football, he said, I'm bringing the football. And encouraged me to be in part of sport. And David was a brilliant man as well. He died in Cuba just after defending his thesis before returning to Dominica. And it started there, the sports background. You're going to school 9 to 12, and then you come back at 1:30 to 3:30. So what we did is we'd play test cricket in school. So until your team finished, you would take a whole term, your team a whole term. But what you do, you run home at 12 o'clock and you run back to school so you could play a cricket match. So that's where the sport background started. And David Pascal was one of the persons who encouraged me to play sports. But fast forward, my mother was, you have to go to school, your leg not going to break, and playing football. So even if I made the grammar school team by participating in house football or participating in playing football well enough during sports, and you get selected, my mother said you're not playing. Because she don't want my leg to break and you have to go to school. That was it. So she was adamant that was it. So when I was finished with school, I remember I played cricket though, strangely. I played cricket, maybe she felt that cricket is not a dangerous sport.
Yeah.
I played cricket for grammar school, for my grammar school team. And fast forward, when I reached 5th form, I decided I'm a big man. You turn 15 years.
15 years, you're a big man.
So I go to my whip and have it with my belt. She cannot beat me again. So 5th form, we decided to make the under 20 team. So, but then, if I was to tell the story, Mr. Wilson, some of us misbehaved and banned that football team.
Oh yes.
We banned that football team because discipline was something that was a watchword, and if you were a grammar school student, you had to be a probably discipline was something that was shortchanging. You had to be disciplined, and because of some indiscipline, that football team was banned. So I started playing football after I finished state college, Sifoko, while I was in Sifoko, playing in the Newtown Football League, and playing for Coca-Cola Kingsville at the time. Then I graduated to go up, played Premier Football for Zebians, and in the Basketball League, thanks to Gavin, what is Gavin's surname?
Which Gavin, at DBS?
No, Gavin Police.
Okay.
What is Gavin's surname? Oh my God, I can't believe I forgot Gavin's surname. But Gavin James.
Gavin James.
Yeah, thanks to Gavin James.
Gavin, you remember?
Yeah. So he broke me into the police basketball team, played for police and played. When I was teaching, I started, my first job was at the SD Secondary School, where I played, and I ended up playing basketball in the off season. And from there, I started to like basketball more than anything else, because when I went to the court and I was being coached by bloaters, I started to learn the sport. Like they say, sport's supposed to be played 80% above the shoulders, which means you have to use your head a lot. And I started to learn to use my head in basketball because of bloaters. And so I started to develop a liking for basketball. And although I didn't play at a high level in the basketball, I coached very early. Thanks to people like Delvin Esprit, who gave me an opportunity to coach the Goodwill Secondary School team. Because I started to teach at Goodwill Secondary School, and then you're supposed to be doing extracurricular business, and because I like basketball, I could play it, allow me to coach it, and then I started to coach, and then I became a coach. In 2003, for my first time, I coached Dominica's team at the inter-secondary school games up until 2019, when I was more involved in the planning and somebody else would have taken the responsibilities of coach. So that is my story in terms of basketball, and a member of Pishley Falcon Sports Club.
Oh, you end up in Pishley Falcon. You jig Betika, and you live in Mao. I don't know where you live in now, but how you end up in Pishley Falcons?
I worked as a district sports officer and then senior sports officer, and I was working in the south. So the development, you use your expertise, your knowledge to help grow stuff there, and so I was expending my energies in the community. I say something, and I heard it somewhere. So I was not the original author of that, but I heard somebody say that if you do something you love, you'll never work a day in your life. And so working in sports, I enjoy doing it. So I see my leisure time as part of my work, or I see my work as leisure. So that is how the back
you're not
part
working,
of it.
you're just doing,
what you
like
love.
drinking a glass.
Yeah.
I tell people radio for me, for example, is like drinking a bottle of water. No effort in there. Because I guess it comes naturally, and some of it I'm sure comes naturally to you as well.
Well, yes, but the leisure, my leisure time, I expanded it as part of my work. You understand? I expanded my work into my leisure time. So that's how I got involved, helping grow the youth basketball out there, helping be a part. And then we had the likes of Yannick Regis and Kewan Thomas, JV, who were students of the game with me, coaching them at the inter-school games, and Ramal, Carbon. And so that was their community. So now it was easy to blend in now, you understand where I'm coming from, and then that's how I end up being part of the coaching staff of the Pishley
And they usually do very well.
Well, yes.
Yes, they usually do very well. Yehudi, I'm going to take a break and we'll come back, have a sip of water, and then we're going to get into the UWI discussion. I think it's, we have a lot to talk about there. I think there's a lot that people can learn. I think this is a good opportunity to encourage persons to take that step into advanced education. I did it a bit late myself, but I did it and I'm doing it. It is not an easy road. I know how challenging it is. I don't go to UWI every night like Yehudi, it's happening. But I'm just saying, there is so much to talk about there, and to be that true inspiration to others based on this achievement, by just guiding them through the process and letting them know that it has to happen. All it takes is a start.
Yeah.
You may not always have the money. There are people who will probably end up doing one course per semester because that's what they can afford. There may be those who may be able to put a little something in the bank every month and to cover it, but it can happen, it can work if you have the ability to do it. There are those who probably have to go to the bank and take a loan, but the point is getting started. So we're going to just take a quick break, and then when we come back, we're going to talk about how it started for you. You mentioned briefly earlier on, but how others can get started. Keep it locked. We're coming back. This is the In the Spotlight radio show.
In the Spotlight on Q95 FM radio every Monday night from 8 p.m. In the Spotlight, featuring people from all walks of Dominican life, spotlighting their triumphs and tragedies, dreams, hopes, aspirations, untold stories, touching the human and personal side of all people in politics, religion, sports, business, music, culture, the media, and more. Getting to know our farmers, our public servants, youth, and the ordinary Dominican. Listen to their stories. No limitations, no restrictions, no holds barred. In the Spotlight will also spotlight interesting topics, issues, and relevant situations. Don't miss In the Spotlight on Q95 FM radio every Monday night from 8 p.m. In the Spotlight.
In the Spotlight on Q95 FM radio every Monday night from
8 p.m. in the Spotlight, featuring people from all walks of Dominican life, spotlighting their triumphs and tragedies, dreams, hopes, and aspirations, untold stories, touching the human and personal side of all people in politics, religion, sports, business, music, culture, the media, and more. Getting to know our farmers, public servants, youth, the ordinary Dominican. Listen to their stories. No limitations, no restrictions, no holds barred. In the Spotlight, we'll also spotlight interesting topics, issues, and relevant situations. Don't miss In the Spotlight on Q95 FM radio every Monday night from 8 p.m.
And the primary reason he was brought here tonight is to speak about emerging as the valedictorian of the UWI Open Campus class of 2022, and a major achievement here for Yehudi John, joining 3 other Dominicans who've already achieved this major feat. And you will have heard the head of the Open Campus in Dominica earlier on this evening stating that this is nothing easy, congratulating Yehudi and speaking to the commitment and all of that that goes into getting to be named. And he's going to go down in the history books of not only the University of the West Indies, but as well Dominica's history. Yehudi, again, before the break, we were talking about getting started, getting going, and I guess we're both somewhat in the same boat, starting this journey, a bit later on. But what was that needle mover for you in terms of getting started?
All right. Sometimes God put people in your life for a particular purpose. And there's one particular individual who I refer to as my adopted mother. God put her there. And I acted sports coordinator sometime in my life after I was...
yes, I remember that.
After I was appointed senior sports officer. And I remember being in a head of department meeting, and then I met this particular individual, and I consume work when I'm stressed. I remember, if you remember when we spoke about my brother's death, I tend to use things to distract me, and work was a major distraction when I went through a period in my life. And then that particular individual, who incidentally has particular expertise in social work, I was exposed to that individual, and then that individual said to me, "Yehudi, straight off, you're too smart. You need to have a degree."
Yes.
And very supportive in the process. And I remember saying to me, "You're gonna get started. You need to have a degree. You cannot not have a degree." And especially the Prime Minister's drive of getting one university graduate in a home. In every home, she said, "You're gonna have to be that person in that home," because she is friend to my biological mother, and they would have been friends from since before I was born. And incidentally, my father and then that individual probably would have gone to school just around the same time, and so they knew each other. And so God blessed her to be from my father's side, from my mother's side, both of them being friends or acquaintances. My mother was a friend because my mother used to be in the neighborhood where they would socialize as a young individual, and then my father would have been in the same school, and they would have known each other from the same school. And she journeyed in my life all the way down, many years down the line. And she said to me, "You're too smart, you have to get a degree." And she was just that adamant, "You have to get a degree." And when she went to university, she said, "Look, start. And then after I got a student loan, but then she said, "Start, you have to start. Because if you don't start, you're never gonna get there." And really and truly, I absented myself from studies because I wanted to be a medical doctor, I wanted to be a pilot. Now, for whatever the reason, I was not supposed to be a medical doctor, and the inspiration came from my father's end, like I said earlier, who was supposed to have gone to study medicine at UWI. And then once when I maybe was just about 11, between 10 and 11, my mother was hospitalized, and I went to see her. And when I saw her in that state, I said, "Okay, I want to be a medical doctor." And when I did
the inspiration from your mother.
Yes, that was from my mother's end because I saw her sick. In my father's case, he was supposed to have studied medicine at UWI, and he did not, so I wanted to be the medical doctor from my father's end. When I saw my mother being in the sick state, I said, "Okay, you will be a medical doctor." And then I said, "I like playing. I like planes, bad. I do not know what the plane do me, but I like, if there's a movie on a plane, I want to watch it. I like planes, and so I wanted to be a pilot." So I had this battle growing up as to which one you want to be, which one you can be. And then my father told me straight off, "I'm not sending you to study medicine, I'm flying plane, because once you're a pilot, you're just a pilot." He said that to me. And God was the one who was allowing him to make that statement. And I did not evaluate it further than that. He said, "Once you're a pilot, you're just a pilot." 2013, I traveled a lot. And I landed in Dominica, and I was back out, and I was always on a plane. And that's the year I went to Australia. And when I came back to Australia, as I landed 4 days later, I was out again. And then my father had an accident. And then because everybody's at work and at school, I was opting to take leave so I could be there, because he had to be cut out of a bus, crashed on the freeway in America. He lost some fingers and broken ribs. And I wanted to be there for my father. Like I said, I love family. So I planned to be with my father. And I couldn't go, because after that I had to go to the US for basketball training. And when I came back, I was like, "Oh my God, I hate the plane." I was like, "Oh my gosh, I hate the plane." And that time God, I'm not a pilot. So that was good.
That wasn't meant to be.
God didn't ordain that. He didn't ordain that. He make my father say, "Once you're a pilot, you're just a pilot." I never evaluated how lucrative it is as a job. I didn't think about a plane crashing and then you die early. It never came to my mind. It was, once you're a pilot, you're just a pilot. And I always aspire to be something better. And that was out. I did not know what was the reason God didn't allow me to be a medical doctor. And so when I did not get none of those, I just was almost unbothered with getting a degree, because I am not for you going to do a degree for a degree sake, you know. And while I have political ambitions,
you do?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
And while I have political ambitions, I would not ordain or I would not, what do I say?
Don't think I just endorse. Don't think I just keep that. We'll come back to that.
I would not endorse giving somebody a scholarship for scholarship's sake. I think government should prioritize, and if we have those areas of need, then we give you a scholarship for that, because you can use it. Too many people have a degree for a degree sake. It's ridiculous. So I share this school of thought. If you want to be a medical doctor, you go by the medical doctor and be the apprenticeship school of thought. And so people who are in tech, you see it more these days, and the CPE that Dr. Joseph spoke about, if you can now holding on the areas that are related to your areas of study, I think you'll develop greater competencies and qualifications in those specific areas that can help you in your journey or in your career. If you want to be diverse, be diverse. But I do believe in having a degree just for having a degree. But when the degree came along, that was the spark that said you got to start.
Yeah.
And so I'm eternally grateful for that individual. I love her that much as a mother, and I will get up and go. If she called now, I'm gonna get up and go.
You tell me sorry for that. I really have to go. You know.
If she gets away, if she needs me now, I'm gonna get up and go, because that's how much I value what she has done for me. And then there's maybe a side of me that I will tell you off the mic that you do not know, but which lean on sometimes I felt like I was kind of depressed, and I probably do not want to share that one, but that is the extent I will go to it. And she was the person who started. Okay, you start, and then there's you know that thing. Anything that start will finish. Once it started will finish.
That's correct.
That's it.
That's correct.
Yeah.
So you decided on business management.
Yes, management was. I wanted to have a wide taste of management, and I remember discussing it with Honorable Blanchard at the time, and she said maybe you maybe made the wrong choice, and I limit myself too much. But I was promoted in the job as a senior sports officer, and sometimes.
And anyway, you work for the sports division.
Yes, I work at the sports division.
Yes.
And so sometimes you'd have to assume leadership roles. I'm in the department with subordinate staff, and I wanted to be able to have a trained mind into managing people, managing men, you know, and hence the degree in management. So that was maybe the sole purpose why I chose. Like I said to you, I'm not going to do a degree if it's
there
just
has to be a
degree.
purpose.
There was a purpose for it.
Reason.
And so I did not hone in on merely say human resource. So that's I took general management, I get a taste of everything, and then after now, when you enjoy management, then maybe I could choose a more narrow field for my masters. But that is the degree that I did, BSc management.
Okay, a couple of things, Yehudi. Those of us who attend the UWI Open Campus are working persons, persons who probably cannot travel to the
landed campuses.
Yes, and so on. It takes us a little longer than the rest. So how long did it take you to get your degree?
Well, it took me 5 years.
5 years?
Yes.
Okay. Which is what I anticipate it's going to take me, because I missed a year.
I planned on doing it in 4, and then I messed up my program. You need to do research methods as soon as you start your second level. And if anybody is in UWI now and in level 1, if you have to do research methods, as soon as you reach level 2, start research methods.
Research methods is the worst.
And so once I missed the research methods, when I recognized, I said, oh my gosh, because I was doing 3 subjects every semester. I did 3, and in the summer I did 2. And I was held back on finishing in 4 years, like if I had gone out to study. So that was 4 years. And when I made that mistake, it meant I had to wait for a whole year again to do my research paper. Because I had to wait till next September to do research methods, which meant I have to wait another whole year again. So at the end of
because
my
you need it for the
journey,
practicum.
right. So
yes.
when I was doing practicum now, I ended up doing practicum by itself. So I was just there waiting to do practicum. So that is the reason why it took me 4 years,
okay.
5 years, but
okay.
it was supposed to have been 4.
On average, how many courses do you do per semester?
Well, every semester I did 3 courses. Every semester I did 3 courses, and then in the summer I would do, if I have a very busy summer, I do 1. If it's not a busy summer, I do 2. Because I was, like I said to you, my goals, I wrote my goals down.
Yes.
I wrote my goals down, and I did not know how I missed research methods, although I was warned about.
I have a whole spreadsheet of everything that I'm doing and when I'm doing it.
Yeah, and I had that one as well. But then I had that one mentally in my mind. And then I said, no, you have to put it down on paper. And I remember Cassandra's Julian helping me and saying, that's how you have to do it. So then I have it color coded and everything. So I make sure that I finished, because there are some people who finish UWI and then they expect in there, and then they miss the course. Yes, I didn't want that to happen to me, so I did that. But then when I did research methods, when I did not do research methods, it was too late and I recognized
it. Threw you off.
Yeah,
it threw you off.
No, but then some people, if you're smart and you want to do UWI, I would recommend, and you want to do 4 at one stage, do it in level 1 for 2 reasons. Level 1 does not go to your graduating GPA. So then if you get a B, it's not going to affect your, your graduation GPA so much. Alright? And if you, once you pass, you're good. Alright? But it's also, I think they are easier courses. So if you plan on doing 4 subjects, do it. I mean, it's all nice and well to wet your feet and then you feel it. But if you plan on doing 4, do 4 in level 1.
Do 4 in level 1.
Now it's what I saw some people do. They're doing 2 courses in level 1, and then when they come level 3, they want to finish the what you call OSHA to finish, and they're doing 4 subjects, and it's now too heavy for them. Too heavy for them, and they start to get stressed. But I told myself I was going to do 3 courses every semester, and so I did 3 courses every semester.
Okay. So for those who are thinking, needing to get started, what's the guidance you need?
My guidance is, if you want to get started, or if you have the aspirations,
and you should have the aspirations.
If you have the aspirations, then start. Now, I collaborated a lot at UWI, so I built a lot of friends, both regionally and locally. And there's the UWI is kind of flexible, that you can actually start the course without paying, but you just have to put together your payment plan for you to finish paying.
Yes, you can do payment plans.
Right.
Yes.
Now, the other nice thing I like about UWI is you can do 1 course. You don't have to do 2 courses or 3 courses like the smart people. I had friends who did 4 courses and started UWI after me and finished before.
Oh, yes.
And they still graduated with first class honors.
Yes,
right?
yes.
So it's manageable. That's the first thing I want to say. It's manageable. But if you want to start and just one you want to start with, go ahead, wet your 54. Wet your 54. And God has a way of helping those who help themselves. So you can, you will have the payment plan. And I did not take a big mammoth student loan. I told myself, okay, you're going to take $10,000 loan. And then while you will be using from that $10,000, you're already paying it off.
Yes.
So by the time nothing is finished, you can apply for another. And so those are Australians. I know people who did their little side hustle. One of my very close friends, God bless her, because we basically held each other's hands free, and we worked together. But that particular individual, she used to bake cakes. I sure she knows who she is. She baked cakes, and then that was a side hustle.
Oh, wow.
And she's very good at it.
Is that my girl? Oh my goodness, you won't call her name, but yes, you know exactly. I know exactly who you're referring to.
And
yes,
that was a side hustle.
Is she big time right now?
Big time, first class honors too. You know. So, and then that was a side hustle. Stay up late studying and baking cake at the same time, and use those monies dedicated for you. So if you have that skill, if you have a skill set, you can use it. You know what we have to be is discipline. Yeah. You know, so different people can handle it differently. But there is sort of one big plus. I have quite a few friends whose UWI debt was how do you say, subsidized by the government. Okay. The government actually paid. Right. So government gives scholarships, and I'm sure there are persons who are in need, and so whoever is assessing those scholarship applications or funding applications, if you want to call it that way, they will be able to decide, okay, we can give that person something, or we could assist this person there. So there are different avenues that you can use. But one of the things, you must start. And my start was semester 1. That was the money for semester 1. We're starting, and then and I never worried about what was going to happen after that. So if you tell yourself that being positive in that vein, then that's one of the ways. That's one of the ways that you can go.
What is important to me now, Yehudi, is now that you've gotten started, I may not emerge as a valedictorian, but guide us on the tricks of the trade that you use to get you to where you are and surviving UWI.
All right. The first thing is about being disciplined. I remember somebody saying to me in some workshop that if you have a goal and it's in your head, it's not a goal. You write it down. You write it down. So if you were to take some of my exercise books, you'll see an A plus under the front and the first page. Or if you were to go in the expectations in the learning exchange, what are your expectations? Okay, so I say, okay, listen, we all start with an A plus, let's try to finish it. And so that was my goal. So writing your goals down, that's what I want to achieve. The second thing I always tell myself is do not be overconfident. And it was always manifested, and I tell my wife, something would happen, and when that particular thing happens, and I could go in a frantic mode, my wife say, come on, you're still going to get an A anyway. You understand? But it was not because I was not going to get an A, it was because I did not want to be overconfident. Alright? So, if you're not overconfident, and you're performance driven, then you're going to do what it is to excel. There are some persons who are outcome driven. So they want an A plus, but they don't care about the performance. If you don't put in the quality work, you're not going to get the quality out. Alright, so that is that warning of overconfidence. And I have some colleagues who, when we discuss stuff, we sit in UWI and on the computer, we have to write, say it is a 1500 word essay on an assignment. And I am in 300 words, and my friend finished, and I'm like, whoa, I wish I was that efficient to finish so quickly.
But
no, I mean, my friends still get good grades.
Yes.
You know, still graduated first class honors. And but that sometimes there will overconfidence being expressed, and then they're doing things too quickly, as opposed to being dedicated. Because mind you, I told myself I'm at school, so 5 hours every day. Children go to school for 5 hours a day, so you're gonna go to school 5 hours a day, even if it's open campus. Wow. So every day, Monday to Friday.
Like today, I have not done any schoolwork for today. I couldn't possibly. You know? So I'm sorry, I could not do the 5 hours.
Right. So now the Friday night now, there's a story to the Friday night, because I'm 7 Adventist, so I was not a practicing 7 Adventist. And I decided, you know what, I'm going to stop the Friday nights. So Friday night was my night off. Not for me to go and party, but because I still believe in the Sabbath. And I would go Saturday night to do my Friday night as Saturday night. And then I always start the week on Sunday. So Sunday morning, my wife knows I'm going to start Sunday morning. If I don't play basketball, when I come back, I start. If I don't play basketball, then 6 o'clock, after 6 minutes to 7, I'm already in my school book. All of Sunday, into Sunday night, because that was the start ahead. So it's being dedicated. Now, the third thing that I want to say to the people who are following is collaboration is a very good thing. And I had a very bad experience recently. I saw a friend of mine, somebody who I thought was my friend. And because whenever we would see on the street, we would greet each other nicely, and we knew from way back when. And that individual was going to UWI. Now, I have a lot of electronic books. A lot of electronic books that I know, because UWI courses, even if you're doing accounts, I know we're going to be doing some of the same courses, even if you're doing management. And I said to my friend, "You're going UWI, man?" And they said, I meaning I'm physically there. Now I want to offer her a book. So that was the first day. And then the second day I met her, she was doing a course. Now, I remember she interrupted me while I was preparing my speech. I was in a meeting with the people with the valedictorian committee. And I remember she interrupted that particular meeting, asking me questions. So I recognized she was a student of UWI, and she was in a particular course, because there was 3 others and they had to do presentations. And I did UWI just like you, so I probably would. So I'm saying, okay, this is my friend, I want to offer her a book. But I was happy, I tread softly. And I remember asking, what course you doing now? And she said, I find you in my business plenty. So I said, I paused. And I went out and I went, because I was going to offer all my books. I have a set of electronic books that I share with people from all over the Caribbean, right? And you know I have these books, and they were very resourceful, because you know in UWI, they tell you you're going to have to put 20 what do you call it, references, or 15 minimum 15 references that people checking, but I have to read all those books.
Yes.
Now, strangely, when you collaborate to get people to assist you and you share.
Yes.
So my ability to share and to collaborate allowed us. So I'm saying if you're not going to be doing it alone.
Yes.
There are 400 of you, sometimes a class has, one particular class has 300 students in one class. All right, we have to split up the classes in groups of 35 or to make it manageable, but then that is 300 people doing one course, the same semester. So I mean, come on, if we collaborate, we share ideas. And I can remember one course. I had an assignment, and then this friend of mine who was also that was a work we worked together, hand in hand, holding each other and doing 2 different courses, 2 different degrees in general, but sharing the same courses. Yeah. The same. And there was this particular course, and in discussing the course, and I remember I didn't know what perspective to take for the assignment. So she and I were discussing that afternoon, discussing. And because I could not choose, based on the discussion, I did pestle analysis, SWOT analysis, and what was the third one? Pestle analysis, SWOT, and I'm not sure the other one. And then, and I was like, I just wrote it yesterday, and I remember going in the class and then saying, Miss, I was not sure, since I did all 3.
You did all 3.
She said, you did the right thing.
You did the right thing. Yehudi, I mean, we have to wrap up. Yeah. It's already 10:35, so we have to wrap things up. But we're very proud of you. I want you to know that. And you saw that in terms of the reactions. With the information that went viral, Dominicans, and we said that at the beginning of the program, and I'm sure, your friends across the Caribbean are all very happy for your success with this. We look forward to Saturday when you will be delivering your speech, and you did indicate it's going to be themed on gratitude. So I'm looking forward to hearing that. So I'm going to give you an opportunity now, Yehudi, to just share some final comments with us as we wrap it up.
Well, one of the last things, and I'm happy that you left it for last. So the last thing that I want to say to people is, sometimes I went to UWI for dinner, and you probably would have been UWI sometimes, and we see some people sit down. I would see people sit down in the book and study for like 5 hours. They probably never even get up to use the washroom. And so I thought that something was wrong with me. I study for an hour, I am up, and I walk, I sing, I spend some time, 15 minutes break, maybe come discuss it for dinner, and then go back to the studies. I'm going to tell people who are studying, sometimes you've got to be, because it's something I used to do. I remember as a little boy going to grammar school, studying in the night, I have a glass of juice and a cup of milk. And if I'm always sipping on the juice, that may get up and go, because you're not studying, you're drinking juice. But then if you put a glass of cold juice, and then it condenses and the whole table is wet, the juice gets hot, that means you're absorbing. So I use that. And so if I'm reading a line, if I'm at you and I don't have juice, I go past that because now I know myself. If I'm reading one line 3-4 times to try to understand it, you're not absorbing, get out of the book. And so I want to say to some of my colleagues who are still at UWI, maybe they should go that approach. Take short spurts. There's a reason why you get breaks. You have a class that runs for an hour and then you get a break. If you're in a normal landed classroom, in a landed campus, or you go in school normally, an hour class, an hour and 15 minutes class, and then you break, and then 15 minutes. There's a reason why, and because our brains need it. So those of us who are going to do that, let's do that. And the others who are wondering if you can get started, let's get started. And the UWI OC campus is maybe the best choice. Like Dr. Joseph said, it's in the top 1 point something percentile in the world in universities. So I mean, you have a degree that says UWI, that means you have a good degree.
All right. And on that note, we say thank you so much to Yehudi John for joining us on the program tonight, and to you for listening either via radio or by joining us during the Facebook Live. We will be back next week, Monday, God willing, for another program. Thank you to the Great Old House for dinner tonight. We really do appreciate it. Thank you to Josephine Gabriel and company for providing our Twapita water. Until next week, Monday, God willing, have a good night, everyone. We'll do it again another time. I am your host for Dinah Frampton. People say, you never say your name at the beginning or at the end. Don't just think, everybody who is listening knows who you are. Thank you for that. Good night.